Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review. It's the third review of Who Month and it's the third story of The Key to Time, starring Tom Baker, The Stones of Blood. As always, I have in front of me the television companion, and here's the plot synopsis for this classic series story. The Doctor, Romana and K9 are led by the Tracer to the Nine Travellers, a circle of standing stones on Boscombe Moor in present-day England. But the third segment is nowhere to be found. They meet elderly archaeologist Professor Amelia Rumford and her assistant Vivian Fay, who are surveying the site, and learn that the circle appears to have had a variable number of stones over the years. The Doctor encounters a group of druids led by a man named De Vries, and narrowly avoids becoming their latest sacrifice. De Vries is later killed by one of the stones from the circle, an ogre, a life form that lives on blood. Miss Fay is the latest guise of the Cailleach, a being worshipped by the Druids, who has been on Earth for 4,000 years. She transports Romana to a spaceship suspended in hyperspace at the same coordinates as the stone circle. The Doctor follows and accidentally releases two Justice machines called Megara, which sentence him to death for breaking the seal in their compartment. When they attempt to carry out their sentence, however, he tricks them into knocking Miss Fay unconscious. Reading her mind, they learn that she's really Cessia of Diplos, the alien criminal they originally sent to try. Having established her guilt, they transform her into additional stone in the circle, but not before the Doctor has grabbed her necklace, the Seal of Diplos, alias the third segment of The Key to Time. So we have the third story in The Key to Time, The Stones of Blood, and it's the 100th Doctor Who classic story. Does it justify having that landmark? There's bits that are very good. There are bits that are not so good. There is an element in here which I think is completely ridiculous and stupid, but I'll get to that as we go on. Let's just go through some of the cast. We have, of course, Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor. As I've said in the previous two reviews, he's in his full pomp at this point. Sarcastic, his whimsical bohemian nature is very full. It's interesting, the character this time round, because he doesn't seem to really bounce off as much with Romana in this one. He's bouncing off more with Rumford and the conversation they have, and it's a nice change of pace for the intellectual conversation between the Doctor and Rumford in some parts of this. But overall, you can't fault Tom Baker. You can't say much more. He is the Doctor. You know he's the Doctor. The whole conversation he has with everybody is just. It's just what do you expect? I can't really say more. I can say a bit more about Romana though, because Mary Tam again is growing into the role. She's more akin to the Pirate Planet characterization than the Rebus operation, but it's kind of in the middle, just to an extent. I love the whole fact that she thinks that wearing lovely shoes, lovely heels would be great going across all the boggy ground, and obviously that is a running joke in the first episode, the fact that she she takes the shoes off at some point because they weren't suitable, and the whole dress head she has in the first part of it is a little bit. It's more something I know I'm fashionista, but she suits it, but it's more a Lalla Lord's design than something you'd expect Mary Tam to wear. The long flowing red dress you see later in the story is actually more akin to what the perception of the first Romana is. However, she does help out a little bit, but she's kind of slightly Perils of Pauline in this at times, especially the bit when she's dragged over the cliff, when she thinks it's the Doctor and all that. That's a bit Perils of Pauline, but overall, it's okay. But it's not the best of the Romana that we know in this season. The guest cast again tend to shine to an extent. The best one is Beatrix Lehman as Professor Rumford. The whole eccentricity of this old lady and the whole way she discussed things with the Doctor just is so charming. It's so engaging all the way through all the episodes. She's the character you go to when it comes to looking for fun and looking for excitement and interest and intrigue. And she's more a companion role than Romana is in some respects. The whole questioning about where the Doctor comes from, and that bit where he says he's from outer time and not outer space, and then the discussion of how to put the device up so the Doctor can travel to hyperspace, and the whole way she works with that with K9 is brilliant. I do think that it's a very good character, And Richard Lehman does a great job with it. Vivian Fay, however, by Susan Engel, I don't know how to take her for the first 2 episodes. She's just like that's cool. I've got a good friend here, but she's a bit batty. And then she comes and goes a bit batty and mad by the end, and it's kind of like the characterization's a bit forced for me. I think the first second half, and it just doesn't seem to work too much on me. Yes, she's supposed to be Cessia of Diplos, and the whole situation when she's covered in silver is interesting, but it doesn't. She's not like the big enemy, the big force here, and she's supposed to be the big bad, and she isn't really the big bad. It doesn't feel like she's the big bad. You've then got De Vries by Nicholas Mercado. Hams it up to hell, but very enjoyable in the 2 episodes he's in. The conversation with him and the Doctor in the first episode is quite good. You set up as being the big bad, and then he gets killed unceremoniously not long after. You've then got his companion Martha, Elaine Ives Cameron. She's okay, but there's not really much to her. And then you've got the Megra voices, which are General Cross and David McAllister. And the Megra, when they come in, they're kind of like a comedy element that doesn't work. And the reason I'm thinking that is because this kind of basically floating stars chirping away, having conversations and having logic of trying to put legal law with the Doctor. And that whole sequence of the trial, the Doctor being put on trial for releasing him from the cell, it's just stupid. It just doesn't work for me, and I don't like that part of it. I think it's just a bit over the top and OTT, and it's like they've ran out of ideas. It's like David Fisher, the writer, has run out of ideas halfway through. This kind of suspenseful, kind of supernatural druid sort of situation you have at the beginning with the sacrifices. That's quite creepy and quite good. And then you get to the sci-fi bit and you're going, what the hell are you doing? It just doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. And it's a bit disappointing, really. I mean, don't get me wrong. The overall story, the way it's shot, is I like it. Darryl Blake's direction is actually well done. It's all outside broadcast when it's outside. You can tell because the quality's not as good as it could be. I suppose they've done that for logistic reasons because there's a lot of day for night shooting. In this, there's a lot of shooting at night, but it's actually filmed maybe evening. And you can tell that, and that works better without outside broadcast stuff, I believe, than it would be on a film. Less of an issue with processing. So, I think logistically that's why they've done it, and it's the last time that they do outside. I think it's not. Is it? I can't remember. I think it must be. I think it must be one of the last times they use the outside broadcast in the series. Until the Trial of the Time Lord season, because it's a Doctor Who traditionally tends to be 60mm film at this point for location work. In studio is obviously the video cameras. I think this is the last occasion. I may be wrong, but I think this is the last occasion where the filming is done on outside broadcast material. Everything else is filmed more traditionally after this. But technically, I think I know that's why it's there, because it works. It's like Robot. Back in the beginning of Tom Baker's era, his very first story, technically you couldn't do some of the effects they had with the giant robot outside on film at that point. It had to be done via CSO or chroma key, and the only way you could do that was through video mixing. So there's a technical necessity to film it outside here. What they film is very scenic, it's very atmospheric, it works all the way through. I think the Ogre are great little monsters with the way they light up in their polystyrene pleasantness, I think is a polite way of putting it. And it's interesting style and the way it's directed from Darryl Blake, and I think it does kind of work. Some of the bits I do like of the story, some of the elements here. You've got the druid rituals with an alien twist, which is obviously the fact that they're feeding the blood to the stones, and the way they light up and everything. That's kind of a twist on the druid mythology. The Doctor kind of out of his depth initially when Professor Rumford starts talking to him. I do like that fact that Professor Rumford's very knowledgeable, and she just keeps going on and on and on and on about the things about the stones, and the Doctor's going, I'm not a Scooby, what you're talking about, I've no idea, but I'll play along. And I think that's what grows the relationship, because she sees that he's intelligent as well and wants to show off. And why not? If you feel you can do it. I as I said about Vivian Fay, I mean, the way it's played is a bit weird, but the turn is okay. But it's still it's still not brilliant for me, I don't think. The creepiest bit and the most horrible bit is the two campers. And they see the stones outside the tent, and they touch them, and her hand, the girl camper's hand, turns to stone. And I thought that really, really odd. The writing overall, I mean, David Fisher's done a decent script. I just don't think they could have logistically done everything he wanted in this script. I think there is a little bit of up and down on this. I mean, the effect of the spaceship in hyperspace is very 70s, but the budget really does show how much of a struggle it is, and you kind of think, well, is this where they saved the money from the Rebus operation to afford the outside broadcast equipment? Because I think the money has been spent a little bit more on this one than it would have been on the Rebus operation. But I mean, the effects and that are there are fine. The standard for the time, but they're nothing special. I mean, this whole story is effectively nothing special. The music is more of it's more early 70s kind of synth stuff from Dudley Simpson than it is more the stuff with all the big horns and the classic band stuff that you get, the classic ensemble stuff that he does at this time with the oboe and the horns. And I suppose that's a great thing with Douglas Simpson. He does change his musical style to the stories at times. You've had three variations over this time. You've had the grandiose of the organ in the Rebus operation. You've had a kind of more traditional pops and horns and cellos and things like that with the Pirate Planet, and now you've got more of the synthy side come out here with the Stones of Blood when it comes to the creepy stuff. And it really does, it's interesting seeing these three together as different setups. But overall, it's kind of a rambling review, because it's one of these, it's definitely a take a brain out for me in regards to understanding it and doing it. And I know the good elements. I mean, Professor Romford's quite fun. Vivian Faye's kind of meh for me. The filming techniques and the way they film it, that's interesting. It keeps going. It's not like you get stuck halfway through. You do continue want to watch it. But there's just a bit of element of silly to me as much as there is the serious nature. And I suppose the comedy element that Graham Williams is trying to manifest here is becoming more apparent as we go on in the season. But it's not. But David Fisher's quite good with his comedy scripts. His comedy elements in the script. This one is maybe not one of his better ones. Actually, some of the elements he writes in The Leisure Hive are better for the comedy than they are in this one, but that's just my personal opinion. So overall, it's definitely a take your brain out. It's not one I enjoy it, and I can watch it all the way through without getting bored, but it's not one I want to go back and watch on a regular basis. Magara kind of spoiled it for me near the end, because I think that's a bit of a ridiculous parody joke of a trial situation. It shows the Doctor's intelligent, but it's not the greatest. And for that, I was going to give it 3.5, but I'm actually going to notch it down a little to 3 TARDISes out of 5. As has been the case with the past couple of reviews, let's see where the story sits within the Tom Baker era, and also let's see where it sits within the rest of the reviews done so far. So, in the Tom Baker era, the Stones of Blood sits in at 3 TARDISes out of 5, alongside Warrior's Gate and the Rebus operation. There are 5 stories with 3.5 TARDISes out of 5, The Leisure Hive, Full Circle, State Decay, The Sunmakers and the Pirate Planet. And at the top is the Horror of Fang Rock, with 4 TARDISes out of 5. Within the overall ratings for the series, the bottom 2 are still Timelash and Sleep No More, with 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. And at the top is 6 stories with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. The Happiness Patrol, Inferno, The Day of the Doctor, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen and Dalek. That's it for now. Thanks guys for watching as always. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of the Stones of Blood. Am I being too harsh? Am I being too soft on it? What do you think? The playlist of all the reviews is up there in the top right hand corner. Please check them out. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with the hashtag teamstructor, and also hit that subscribe button so you know when a new video comes out. General, every Sunday at 4 PM GMT. But this is Who Month, so there's a lot more going on. Doctor Who is back for a series at the moment, so First Impressions of Doctor Who every Monday at 8 PM GMT. Wednesday, I'll be back at 6 PM GMT with the review of the 3 Doctors, and then the following Sunday is the Sirens of Time at 4 PM GMT on Sunday. If you like to support the channel more than just liking and sharing and subscribing, you can join us on the Patreon at patreon.com/Deanstructor. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support the channel, or £1 a month. Just go to patreon.com/Deanstructor. That's it from me. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night for the First Impressions, if not Wednesday for the 3 Doctors review. But until then, I'll see you later.